Hi and welcome back to my channel, Sunshine Lorena. So today I am going to be going through my most anticipated reads from my own bookshelves. I know usually you see videos of people doing the most anticipated reads from 2021 at the moment, but I have a lot of books on my bookshelves and that I haven't gotten to, and I really want to, and this is a way to encourage me and also share with you guys the kind of books that I'll definitely want to be picking up this year. In this list I haven't included any of the books that was in my 10 classics to read in 2021, and as I've already mentioned in my video, they're obviously ones that I'm looking forward to reading. Now on this list I've got a mixture of physical books that I have and also ebooks. I find that with ebooks they're quite easy to kind of build up because you can't physically see them on your shelves. So yeah, I definitely want to get through them. So the first two on my list is Those Who Leave and Those Who Stay and The Story of the Lost Child, and these are by Eleanor Ferrante. These are book 3 and 4 in her Neapolitan novels. I read 1 and 2 in 2020, really enjoyed the first one. The second one was one of my favourites of 2020, and that's The Story of a New Name. I really enjoyed that, 5 out of 5, and I can't wait to reread it, but I really want to finish the series off. I think I got a little bit busy with other reading challenges, I never picked them up, but the second book was so good that I'm also a little bit worried, what if these aren't as good? I don't think they'd be bad, it's just what if they're not as good, you know? So if you don't know, the series follows our two main characters, Eleanor, who gets called Lenu, and Leela. Now it follows them from childhood up until in their 60s, because in the first one the first section is when Lenu is told that Leela is basically disappeared completely, and then it's her recounting their friendship throughout the years. It's set in a poor neighbourhood in Naples, and yes, it's about general life, kind of decisions that people make or lack thereof decisions, and it follows their friendship and how their friendship pushes them in certain directions. I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to kind of ruin it for you, but in the second one it was up until them, there were some point in their 20s, so I presume this is going to take us through the 30s, 40s and 50s. And yeah, I can't wait to get back into it and return to two characters that I really do adore and love, and just to see how those decisions from the first book about further educated or not, as it pans out throughout their lives. So that'd be really good. Also the last one, the end there's a little bit of a cliffhanger, and it's a bit like, oh, what's gonna happen now? I can't say because then I'll ruin it for you, but I am really intrigued, but a little bit worried I won't like it as much. But I'm gonna get to these hopefully soon. So the next one in this is actually an ebook, and that is The Passengers by John Mars. Now in January I just read John Mars' book, actually it was my first one, which I did quite enjoy. So The Passengers, I bought this at like the end of September. I remember reading the plot description, and I was like, I really need to read this. It sounds like a Black Mirror episode, and I love Black Mirror. I was like, I need to read this. I'm so excited, and I haven't picked it up yet. And I really want to because it does sound super interesting. So it's obviously set at some point in the future, and they have self-drive cars at this point. However, the 8 cars are hacked, and the passengers in them are set in a collision course, and the public have to judge who will survive. And there's obviously certain things about these characters that you must find out, but are they really the passengers? Are they really all who they seem to be? It sounds like it'd be really good, and like I said, it sounds like Black Mirror, and there hasn't been new Black Mirror for absolute ages, so I think I need to read this, you know, to get my Black Mirror hit, and that'd be really, really good. Then I have June by Frank Herbert. Oh, my voice is going. Now this is a sci-fi book, and I don't really read sci-fi that much. When I have done, I've really not particularly enjoyed it. However, I'll watch sci-fi films and TV shows and I will enjoy them, and I don't know why, I just don't like sci-fi books. But I need to give them another chance, I think, and if I'm going to do it, I think it needs to be June, because it is like one of like the kind of most famous sci-fi ones. They're also, the film is going to be released in 2021. I think it was supposed to be in 2020, but it got delayed because of coronavirus. So it's set in some sort of futuristic setting, as generally is with these sci-fi books, and it's set on this planet. Now my understanding is that the nobles control these different planets, and this particular one, which I can't remember the name of, has some sort of natural resource that is there, some sort of natural resource, and it's the only place that has it, and it's some sort of drug that extends life and also enhances mental abilities. So it's kind of a planet that a lot of people would like to control because this is the only place it can be made. So I think there's going to be some sort of like kind of fight for power and control of this planet, and I think it's the main character, I think it's Paul, which seems like such a normal name, doesn't it? And yes, it kind of, I think there's some sort of journeys, there's a falling of his house and he's set on some sort of journey, but it sounds like, yes, I would 100% watch that film, and I really want to try that and read the book and see if sci-fi is my thing or not, and maybe I just haven't picked up the right books before. We'll need to wait and see, and I'll do a review. This is quite a big book, I think it's around 700 pages, so it's a long sci-fi. Maybe it's not the best one for me to have picked because it is a pretty big book, but we'll see how I get on with that. We then have this here by Paulo Coelho. Now, The Alchemist is one of my all-time favourite books. Like, yeah, I just reread it now in January. My all-time favourite book, which I absolutely adore. However, I have never read any other books written by Paulo Coelho. So I picked this one up summer last year from a charity shop. I got it sent to me. It's when they were still closed. And yeah, it's pretty good condition actually. It's a second-hand book, but yes, I want to read another book by Paulo Coelho because I really enjoyed his writing style in Alchemist. So I think this one has a bit of similar sort of vibes as The Alchemist. So it follows the main character. He is a renowned author, and he discovers that his wife, who is a war correspondent, has disappeared, leaving no trace. No one knows at all what has actually happened to her, and I think over the years, like this, he keeps getting more and more like kind of fascinated by her absence, kind of what happened to her, and you know, was she kidnapped, like what happened, is she still alive, is she still out there? And yes, he ends up going on a search for her, and it takes him through Spain, France, Croatia, into Central Asia. So it's kind of get to travel around the world in this book, which sounds really fun, and then it leads him to a new understanding of the nature of love, the power of destiny, and what it really means to follow your heart. So I think, yes, it's going to have that same sort of vibes of The Alchemist, and I do want to see if I really enjoy Paulo Coelho's writing style. So I'm looking forward to that. The next on my list, and I have is an ebook, and that is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. This was all over BookTube in 2020, and I did buy it in 2020 with every intention of reading it, and I just never got around to it. So in case you don't know, if you haven't seen anyone speak about it, it follows twin sisters who have grown up in a small southern black community in America. And then I think they end up running away at 16, and then years later, like 10 years later or something, their lives are very different to what they were, and they went on two different paths. One sister is living in the town that they grew up in with her black daughter, and then the other twin sister is off somewhere else, and she is living her life as passing for white, and she is married to a white man, and he has no idea about her past. I believe she also has a daughter. So their lives have went into very different directions, and I suppose it's just kind of what happens with that storyline. It sounds very interesting to me, and I want to see what all the hype is about, because everyone really enjoys it, and I hope I do as well. Next is actually a series of books, and that is the Noughts and Crosses series. I just have the first one here in my hands because I couldn't be bothered trying to hold up all four. Okay, and it's by Mallory Blackman. Now, I watched the adaptation of this first novel, the BBC adaptation, in 2020, and I really enjoyed it. This was out and around when I was a teenager. This is a YA novel, but I never picked it up. I remember seeing it on the shelves, but I don't think I ever really read the back of it. Otherwise, I think I definitely would have picked it up. So in this novel, it's like set in an alternative history timeline from what we are currently living, and it is, in this alternative timeline, it was people from Africa that colonised Europe rather than the other way around. And this is then set in the 21st century Britain. So it's pretty much the same as now, they have similar technologies and everything as we do now, except everything is kind of switched around, but also there is still a lot of segregation in this novel, in this 21st century Britain timeline. Slavery was abolished long ago, but there's still segregation between noughts and crosses. So in this book, it follows two main characters. They are teenagers, and it is Sephi, who is a cross, and she is descended from the Africans, and then there is Callum, who's a knot, who is from the European people, traditionally from the UK. And when they were little, they used to play together because Callum's mum was the nanny in Sephi's household, but I think something happened and she was fired, and then now as they're older they've continued like a friendship. However, it's in secret because interracial relationships are frowned upon in this alternative timeline. And so it's kind of following the two of them, what that friendship is. And I know what happens in this series, but I think it's slightly different. But I think they end up being in the same school in the novels, and I think Callum's one of the few knots that are accepted into it, because I think it's a very elitist and a school as far as I'm aware, and it follows their story and it continues throughout the other novels. There's I can't speak anymore. There are 5 in total, so I'm looking forward to that, and yes, I'll hopefully get to it soon. I don't tend to pick up YA, but it's a YA series that I really want to read, as it does, like I said, it sounds really interesting, an interesting concept to see everything kind of switched around and what happens. And now the last one on this list is An American Marriage, and it's by Tayari Jones, and it was the Women's Prize of Fiction 2019 winner. So this book, and I'm going to read the blurb, it follows newlyweds who are the embodiment of the American dream. He is a young executive and she's an artist on the brink of an exciting career, until one day they are ripped apart by circumstances neither could have imagined. Roy is arrested and sentenced to 12 years for a crime Celestial knows he didn't commit. Devastated and unmoored, Celestial finds herself struggling to hold onto the love that has been her centre, taking comfort in Andre, their closest best friend. When Roy's conviction is suddenly overturned, he returns home, ready to resume their life together. So yes, it sounds like a really interesting novel, and I don't tend to read that many prize winners, not for any particular reason, it's just I never seem to get round to them, but I really like the sound of this one, and yes, I'm looking forward to picking it up. I bought this back in summer, which actually I did, I think a few of these actually, yeah, basically all of them I picked them up in summer and I haven't gotten to them, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that, as I am with all of the books on this list. And I really hope that I get to them before the end of the year. If I can get to them in the first half of the year, that would be fantastic, but I know myself and I get distracted by other books. But these are my most anticipated ones that I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, let me know if you've read any of them. Did you enjoy them? And what's one of your, like, what are your anticipated reads from from your shelves, or what ones you waiting for again. So let me know what are your anticipated reads, whether it be in your bookshelf or specifically new releases coming out, and yeah, any recommendations. I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.